With a quick runtime, Tremors takes its time to reveal its creatures, while allowing us to soak up both its rich cast and landscape.
Canada be damned. I'm going to the Klondike.
The Klondike is Canada.
Giorgio, you be doing just fine, brother.
There's something hokey about monster movies. Maybe it's the special effects or creature designs, or perhaps it's the recycled types of characters we see again and again. Whatever the reason, it's not just the characters that get left on repeat. Much of what we've seen before, we have grown to expect. And this predictability is exactly what sucks the fun out of a movie that would otherwise be enjoyable. 1990's Tremors is one of the rare exceptions to this trend. Before we go there, let's unravel what Tremors is. Tremors is a story which takes place in the drastically remote hamlet of Perfection, Nevada. It begins with our two main characters, Val and Earl.
You two must be Val and Earl. I've heard all about you.
We deny everything.
They're the town's handymen, and they're on the brink of blowing town for good.
Oh, come on, Earl. Now this is low. We have got to set our sights a little bit higher.
Oh, you gonna stand there and tell me in broad daylight that I'm the reason we're still in Perfection? You know how close I am to leaving this place right now?
Fed up, Val and Earl decide to go, but along the way they discover the only road is closed, and human bodies are beginning to pile up for some unknown reason along that route.
Well, shit.
It's soon unveiled that several subterranean creatures, which are later called graboids, have begun to pop up throughout the desert, and they're picking off residents one at a time. Where they come from, nobody seems to know.
I vote for outer space. No way these are local boys.
As the already small town begins to shrink even smaller, Perfection's inhabitants are left with no choice but to come together and either escape or destroy the threat. Much like its monster movie predecessor, Jaws, Tremors teases us with its monster in the first act. We don't see the creature, we're just given enough to pique our interest and allude to a threat on the horizon. Even when we see it, it's a clever misdirection, giving us only a piece of the puzzle, so to speak. But when we do finally see it, we see it in all of its practical glory.
Must be a million of them! Nope, just one.
This practice of having tangible, concrete effects are a lost, if not dead, art. The 90s would later usher in the era of CGI, and films that relied on practical effects would become, well, extinct. Although the special effects route has become more convenient and mainstream, 30 plus years later, Tremors still seems to outshine the leading brand by having something physically there.
Hey, you okay? Yeah, what about the horses? What in the name of...
Speaking of being there, Tremors' cast is an ensemble that feels completely present. No actor feels like they're attempting to steal focus, and each of their takes on their characters feels so unique and individualistic. It actually gives a real sense of community to the small town of Perfection. Not every character reacts to events similarly, which raises some questions with us as to how things will proceed.
Now, me and Earl think we better get the hell out of this valley. Hang on, Val. Let's not go off half-cocked.
Yeah, well, somebody's bound to come check on us once they see the road is out and the lines are down.
This, coupled with the fact that Tremors doesn't fall back on lazy, recycled character archetypes, like the bully we know who will eat it, is the very thing that makes Tremors unpredictable, and therefore fresh. Yes, Melvin does feel like the only exception, yet his juvenile nature is the perfect springboard to illustrate the weight of just how serious the situation is.
Damn it, Melvin!
He's only kidding.
You came that close. Too close.
No way, man. No, you guys gotta do something. You gotta do something.
Neither human nor graboid, the setting of perfection in the rocky and remote desert feels like an entity of its own in Tremors. At times, we see things from a distance, which allows us to drink in the surroundings. Just like the creatures and characters, the environment feels present and not simply an easy substitute. The locations chosen and the way in which they're shot invoke a true sense of scale, one which not only showcases its beauty, but also its magnitude in relation to the plot.
We've got a plan.
Of course, that's a hell of a long walk.
Frankly, there's so much Tremors gets right and very little it gets wrong. That's outstanding given the fact there's been over 3 decades of films to measure up to it. After all of that time, I know I'm not alone in that belief. And perhaps that's because Tremors doesn't ask you to believe. It forces you to acknowledge it's real. It doesn't cut corners or take half measures, because it recognizes that we can differentiate between what is real and what is bullshit. As fantastical as Tremors' premise is, this is why it maintains its quality, because it keeps it real.